How sugar growing began. A revolution in industrial and agrarian pursuits and activities in general had a fully fledged birth all over the districts when sugar growing set in. For many years it eclipsed all other agrarian pursuits. With it came a very large influx of Polynesian labor, adding very considerably to the resident population. Each of these estates had from 50 to 100 of these Kanakas on their workmen's rolls, and for the class of work in which they were employed, they were better than the whites. Or perhaps it was that the white man of that day felt it beneath his dignity to engage upon work which had been initiated by the Kanakas. These black men, with rare exceptions, behaved in an exemplary manner. After the manufacture of sugar had proved its stability, a side issue, that of distilling rum, proved a very profitable venture. A small steamer called the Walrus, fitted up with appropriate stills and other necessary gears, traveled up and down the rivers. Anchoring at the millside wharves, she remained there till the season's crushing was over, converting the refuse of the boilings, molasses, and other filthiness into the white spirit, which when colored and aged was bonded as the rum of commerce. After a few years of such operations, the Walrus was superseded by a permanent distillery at the Augustin plantation, near the mouth of the Logan River. With the decline of sugar growing, the Augustin distillery ceased to operate, but in after years the industry was revived at the old Beanley plantation, where to the present day it has a considerable output of Bosun Bill beverage. In the early days of sugar production, only yellow or brown crystals were manufactured, the best qualities bringing up to £28 or £30 per ton, which was a very remunerative price. But with the repatriation of the islanders and the high wages of the white laborer and other causes, the industry proved a financial failure, and sugar growing in those districts was practically wiped out of existence, giving place to the dairying and bacon businesses, with field crops as a sideline, sawmilling operations. Though sawmilling was in operation at various centers, it never assumed a position of major importance in the industries of the electorates, about the only one to continue to the present time being that of Johnston and Freeman of Southport, where there is very considerable and continued demand for sawn timbers, and whose mill appliances are very up to date. These were the main industries of bygone days. With closer settlement and the springing up of towns or villages all over the district, much enterprise in various avenues of trade was shown. The inspector of the roads department, whose duty it was to supervise the work in the district, was Mr. David F. Longland, whose second in seniority was Mr. Stone Jim, I think his name was. Mr. Stone's name is perpetuated in Stone's Corner. That was where his home stood when there was nothing but bush beyond the present Clarence Corner in Stanley Street. Hospitality to travelers. These road camps reflected the open-handed hospitality of the time, for it was the invariable custom for the traveler to stop at such places and share the corned beef and damper of the gang. Indeed, it would have been considered a very gross insult for anyone to pass by without at least partaking of a cup of black tea, with its concomitant brown and very moist sugar, often fortified with a fair admixture of ants. I can remember many such meals with them feasts, I would call them, if I had the luck to strike their place just as a damper was taken out of the campfire ashes, dusted with a branch, and laid on its edge to cool. It was eaten with a liberal spreading of meat fat or dripping, for butter was an unprocurable commodity. In exchange for this hospitality, the guest was supposed to regale his hosts with the latest news from outside. £1 per week was then a good wage, but, as expenditure was almost nil, a tidy check accrued by the time a vacation was due, and the purchasing value of £1 was greatly more than it would be nowadays.